Saying my mistakes, saying my mistakes. Welcome to B is for Build, where I'm saying my mistakes. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. I hope you guys are having a great time. We have already concluded the part where I sand out my mistakes on the pieces that I messed up in the last episode, so we could just gloss over that. It's time to throw this thing back in the paint booth, tack rag it down, and spray some primer on it. Again. All right, that panel just doesn't like me. I don't know. I have no idea what is. There's a chemical reaction that's going on. So where the primer, where I've sanded through the primer down to the panel again, when I spray over that, it's reacting very poorly. Where I'm spraying on my old primer, it's fine. So the panel's really pissed off. I'm gonna take that away for now. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna hit it with high filler primer, like what we did here with the doors. I'm just gonna coat the whole thing in high filler primer. And hopefully that'll be a new clean surface for us to paint on. We'll worry about that tomorrow. The night is not over. The night is salvageable. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to pull that panel out, set it over here to dry, whatever, forget about it. I'm going to grab the bumper. We have the bumper in, and I'm going to start block sanding that with 600. It came primered, so we don't even have to primer it. And I'm going to block sand out the primer with 600 so we can spray our white on top of that. How's that sound? All right, we're all sanded up. The bumper is in the paint booth and it's been tack ragged and de-dusted and all that great stuff. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the paint and then we're gonna spray it. All right, well, the next fun mistake to learn about is that, so I'm using disposable cups and the lids can be kind of tricky to make sure that they're on all the way. And of course, I screwed up. The lid was just a slight crack open. So as I'm waving this gun around, trying to keep my speed up so I don't get runs, some paint kind of blopped out and landed on the bumper. We still have 2 more coats to go though, so I'm not too worried about it. And you know what, in the end, it's just like one little spot. It created one little driplet. So if it doesn't kind of spread out and fade out with the other coats, then we'll just hit it with some 3000 after this thing is done and we'll just sand that part down. Not the end of the world, especially for a rear bumper. I'm not too worried about it. Overall though, the first coat went on really good. All right, it didn't take much, just 2 coats to get coverage on that bumper. So the bumper's drying. While that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and sand out this crappy paint on the rear hatch here and try and get a coat of the high filler primer on the whole thing before I call it a night. All right, what's up guys? Early morning update. It's 10 a.m. I'm really not happy with the speed that this painting's coming along, so I'm putting in a 12-hour day today. I'm not leaving before 10 p.m. and we're gonna get as much of this stuff done as I can. So starting off with this panel, I left the light on here to bake out that paint. We weren't able to sand it completely out because the paint hadn't dry. So the panel will help release the solvents, keep it at a higher temperature than at least the ambient temperature outside. And that'll get some of the solvents out of there. I can sand that thing first thing this morning now that we've done that. The bumper that we sprayed last night, everything, not everything came out great, but good enough. So we got a nice finish on it. I'm happy with the sanding it with 600 really did a good job on leveling out that primer, and our coat of paint over that primer is really good too. If I wanted it even shinier, I should have done more sanding on the primer below it, but this is okay. This is totally acceptable finish. I'm happy with that. The only problem is we did get some fisheye. So let me hunt out a fisheye or two here. There's a huge one right here, for instance. That's a really big fisheye. And then there's like one right there. So what causes fisheyes? What causes fisheyes in paint is normally one of 2 things. Is either the material that we're painting on is not clean, so it's got contaminants on the material, which is a little bit, shouldn't have happened with this because I did use a cleaner on it beforehand, but it could happen if I just didn't scrub the cleaner hard enough or whatever. So I could have screwed up with cleaning the surface. Or what can what can also happen is oil in your lines. So I do run multiple filters to stop that from happening, but it's still possible to happen once the filters kind of clog up or whatever. They can let a little bit of oil through your gun. Once the oil hits the surface of this, the paint's not going to stick. So I to help us with that side of the problem, well, to help us with both problems, I went and bought some newer, better preparation material. And then I also went and bought an industrial-sized air filter with a much more intricate air filtration system that is reusable. And I'm going to attach that to the air compressor before we spray anything else today. So that's the game plan. Bumper's done. It's time to get that back panel ready to roll.
All right, so I covered the whole panel in sealer primer, and then of course just did a sand down with some 400, and it's nice and smooth. It's ready to roll. Now, my question to myself is, and I have to just make a judgment call here, is whether or not to spray the sealer primer and then our white, or just to spray our white, because this is a primer underneath it. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and spray our white paint over this. The sealer primer is supposed to, seal out the substrates underneath it and be a good surface to paint on top of. But we've already kind of sealed those out by covering this whole thing in the primer. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try spraying white. And worst case scenario is we have another mistake and it's like the 5th try to go around. But I'd really rather not spray a bunch of sealer primer for no reason if we don't need to. So yeah, I'm gonna clean it up, put it in the booth, and get spraying. All right, we sprayed our hatch. It looks amazing. Using that filler primer on the hatch, I was able to get a really, really nice, very, very smooth surface to paint on top of, and we had good adhesion with the white straight on top of that filler primer. The only problem is we did get fish eyes once again. So I will go into more in detail about them and how we're gonna fix them when I show you guys the panel, but it's drying right now, so I wanna leave it alone. Moving on to the next thing. Door panel, sanding that down. This one is almost ready to roll. I'm working on one spot in the back there, but other than that, this has been all sanded up really nicely. And then, so I gotta get the other door panel in, sand that, and then we have the fender extensions right here that also need to go white. These are sanded down to 400 already, so it'll be a quick scuff up with 600 and they'll be done. And then we have, I need to pull the gas cap off of that rear clamshell that's in the background over there and get that ready to be painted too. And hopefully that will be all of our white stuff that we need to paint. So I'm gonna get down to sanding. All right, we got both the doors prepped. They're ready to roll. They're ready to be sealer primered. These are sanded down. They need a little bit more of a cleanup. But first, I wanted to show you guys this back panel. And so what I did to cure it a little bit faster is I hooked up a heater in here, and it really did heat up this whole little cube. And here is our rear panel. Really nice finish overall, except for the pinholes, which there are some massive ones. You can see right there and there, and right there. But other than that, I mean, it's very, very clean, very, very smooth. So I need to figure out how to fix the pinholes. I think I can come in with a detail brush. My strategy for that is going to be, so like here's one for instance, and I'm just going to come in after the paint's fully dry. I'm going to clean this area off and then come in with a detail brush and just dab in the white there. It's kind of bizarre. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm going to do more cleaning and more paint prep on the next door panels. What I'm going to do, what I've already done actually, is, so these doors, since I sanded them, I already did a wax and degreaser. I'll do one more before I even go to move them inside the paint booth, and then once they're in there, I'll do another cleaning. So I'm going to clean them 3 times with the wax and grease remover to try and get them as clean as I possibly can before we spray our filler primer over them. Sorry, it's not filler primer, sealer primer over them. All right, paint is mixed up. It is definitely time to give this a go. Say a little prayer because I don't think I have any more patience for any more large mistakes on this, but I'm confident that this is going to be a good one, and I don't know why. Blind confidence. I'm going to try a little bit of new technique with the primer, where it's going to be a kind of a really a much lighter coat on the first coat, and then we're going to throw on a more medium wet, not just smash it on super hard coat, but a medium wet coat for the second coat. Here we go.
All right, just got done spraying the primer. All signs point to this being a good round of painting. The paint adhered well. We didn't have any crazy problems like what we had on the rear hatch. And we got good coverage, and the panels look good. The body repair work that we did previously looks good. So I'm really excited on this. I'm super stoked. I'm gonna go mix up the white and we're gonna go spray that. First coat of white went on pretty great, right up until the point when a mosquito flew right in front of my gun and got blasted straight into the paint job. I couldn't really make up my mind whether or not to just leave him in there and paint over him or to go pick him out. So I picked him out. It definitely left a spot. So I'm gonna hit that spot hard in the next coat and hope that it'll kind of self-level itself out. And anything else after that we'll have to do with 3000 grit sandpaper. Kind of a bummer, but that's what you get with a DIY paint job. All right, guys, second coat went on great. I went ahead and let the booth kind of air out, and then I turned all the lights on and the heater on. So we're gonna go ahead and basically bake these panels overnight. Should keep that like at least 10 to 15 degrees hotter than whatever it will be outside, which is gonna be about 50. And they need to be above 50 anyways to work. More importantly though, these things look awesome. If I was in a legit environment like a paint booth, these would pass for professional. So I'm really happy that I finally got a good paint job. There are tiny little pieces of dust, and I found like one or two tiny, like much smaller fish eyes, and one or two is a lot less than we got before. But the thing that I'm really excited about is these look really good. Like the paint came out really good. So I'm stoked. Like it's so awesome. I'll show you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna let them dry tonight. Fingers crossed they don't burn the shop down. I'm out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Alright guys, we're back in the shop, fresh as a daisy, Sunday morning. Let's take a look at some of the parts. So, like I said, the paint application was friggin' great this time. The only difference between this and a professional paint job is just the booth that we're in. I mean, we have dust. It's a real thing. We don't have an airproof environment, so yes, there's a little bit of dust in it. But man, other than that, these are shiny. A lot of people mentioned about the doors because I didn't take the door handles out. These look great. I mean, I guess, yeah, professionally you'd normally take the door handles out, but since I was painting white over white, I mean, it looks fine. Some of the parts that were black are kind of white now, but other than that, I mean, it feels all glossy. It feels great. I'm really happy that the repairs went so well. Like I can no longer even remember like which one of these panels had this door line repaired in it right here. I can't tell anymore. This thing right here is looking good, whatever you would call that. Overall, just really great. No large fish eyes either. So it was either the air filter that we put in or it was the extra prep that we did. We had like one tiny little one right there, but I mean, they're really hard to see. So yes, there's a tiny bit of dust. That's what you're gonna get with a DIY paint job, but damn, other than that, it's like I said earlier, I really wanted to figure out how to get like a professional level paint job. Now I knew I wasn't gonna get like an overall professional level paint job, but I wanted to get the gun, the paint out of the gun onto the panel so it looks like the pros do it, because I figured it can't be impossible to figure out. And yes, there's dust, but other than that, we did it. I finally did it. This is like factory amount of orange peel that you get. So very excited, very happy. I feel like I finally had a real true win over this last whoops, glued these to the table, over the last week with a lot of this stuff. So awesome. I'm really excited. And now it's time to move on to some other fun stuff on the car. All right, next let's do a little unboxing. So you guys will remember that the rear vent panel from the engine did not come in our original shipment. I notified Lotus of that mistake, and they next dayed me out this part. So I've actually had this part for a while now. We didn't paint it because I didn't know this, but it comes painted. So every Evora actually has a black one of these. So what I want to do is take it out and match it up against the black roof and make sure that we're looking good as far as color matching goes. Alright, this is our rear vent panel, and it came with the grills in it, which is really nice, and it's, like I said, it's painted from factory, probably because it's a plastic item. I don't really know. Anyways, the two blacks really do match up nicely. They look correct. You're going to see that this seems to look a little bit lighter on this side, and I think that's what's called blushing. That's when some of the overspray lands on the panel after the clear coat is tried to dry. So once we do a wet sanding on this, that will come out. And yeah, it looks like we got the right tone and shade of black. When you go to a paint shop and you ask for black, there's like a million different versions of black, which is kind of crazy. I like the computer world where there's just like 256 colors or something, 256 times 3. Anyways, colors, and yeah, it's a lot simpler, but there's a million colors of everything in paint, and we got a good match. So this is gonna look great. It is letting me know though that we're gonna for sure have to wet sand this before we even like call it a day on this roof. So we're gonna want to wet sand this clear, gloss it up a little bit, and get rid of that blushing, and it'll make that black really show through even better. All right, so I thought a lot about how I wanted to kind of wrap up this episode. I originally woke up this morning thinking I would just unwrap the car and we'd start working on the interior. But unfortunately, there's just like not really enough space to start working on that type of stuff because we have this massive paint booth set up, and there's only about like 4 little parts that we need to paint left. We have the 2 side scoops, we have the 2 side mirrors, and we have the rear spoiler. Those all get painted black, which we're gonna do in that 2-stage paint, base coat, clear coat, and then we're just done with painting. So I decided to do that first because I can't really make the space. If anybody's got a good idea of how to get rid of boxes, I have like a ridiculous amount of boxes, and bubble wrap it's become a problem. I don't have a garbage service here at the shop, and I can't burn it because I'm not out in the country. So if anybody else has got any good ideas, leave a comment below. I would appreciate some life hacks on how to remove cardboard boxes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start painting. So these parts need a lot of paint prep, and that's what I'm gonna start on first. I'm gonna lay out some spots to hold them so I can work on them, and we're just gonna get to sanding and do our standard paint prep, sand them up until they're nice and smooth all the way up to a 600 grit sandpaper. All right, 2 hours of sanding later and everything is ready to roll. We're ready to start painting. I've done one clean down with wax and grease remover. We'll do another one when we get it all moved inside the booth. This is gonna be an interesting paint job. It's gonna be a little bit different because this one I will have to use the detail gun because there are some crevices that are so small in that spoiler that I don't wanna try and hit them with the big gun, or I'm worried I'll get runs. So this is gonna be quite interesting. We'll have 2 different guns in there, and I'm gonna have to swap in and out at some point. But I'm very excited. I'm ready to get started, so let's move it all in there and start spraying. All right, I want to show you guys the setup before we get to painting here. So here's what we got going on. We got the spoiler over there and the other pieces over there with the intake fan going in underneath the other pieces. We have no more issues with light because Astro Pneumatic was kind enough to send me this floodlight on a stand. It's pretty cool. They were watching the last episode and saw that I had a problem with lighting, and they sent that out. So big thanks to Astro Pneumatic for sending me that. And so we're gonna go ahead and spray those and then spray this. And now we have to use the full-size gun on all of this because unfortunately I can't find the lid to the fluid cup for my detail gun, and so without a lid the paint would just fly out. So I've been kind of practicing how I'm gonna get in these real small nooks and crannies, and it's gonna be tough, but we're gonna be able to do it with this gun right here. So yeah, that's it. One more coat of, one more cleaning with the wax and grease remover, and then we'll get to spraying paint.
Alright guys, that is a wrap on the paint job. We did 2 coats of the base coat black and 3 coats of the clear. Everything went on great. We managed to minimize the overspray in the shop even, so it was all great. I cannot wait to check it out tomorrow. What I'm going to do is I'm waiting for a little bit of the fumes to exit, and then I'm going to put the heat lamp in there and kind of bake them overnight like what we did with the doors. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry, I know that was a lot of painting, but guess what? Now we are done painting and we can start the final assembly of the car. And yeah, I'm very excited for the stuff that's to come. We don't have much longer, and we're getting really, really close, so I'm very stoked. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, you guys. If you like BS for Build, you like what we do, and you want to help support, head over to bsforbuild.com. Scroll down to the shop. Get yourself a hat or a shirt or a key tag or anything. And we got new products coming out probably this week or next week that we're going to be adding into the shop. Some women's shirts and some new sizes of our decals. If you want to find us in more places, head over to facebook.com/bsforbuild, and we are BS for Build on Instagram. I've been posting some behind the scenes stuff on Instagram, and I really enjoy doing that. So I'm going to do it even more. That's about it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for helping keep me inspired. And thanks for helping push me into this, because in this episode we got the best paint job I've ever done. And I finally hit my goal of trying to get a really legit paint job on something. And I couldn't be happier. So thanks guys for all the motivation. And I'll see you in the next episode. Remember to like and subscribe. Peace!